Hi everybody, my name is Diane Figo and I am an art journaler and a mixed media artist. I do collage work and journals and mixed media and art cards and things like that. And I actually just sat down. I was going to start working on the video that I just recorded where I show you how I cut out the super intricate pieces of the florals that I've been doing a lot in my collage journal lately. And as I was cutting that out, well, when I'm cutting things out like that, my mind tends to ramble. And so just with thoughts, with positive thoughts, and I was actually talking about that in the video as I was working on cutting out that image. But as I was talking, that led into me sharing just my recent experience, recent as in yesterday, today's Saturday, so Friday, just with dealing with, well, self-doubt, good old self-doubt. Talked about that a lot. And probably in all of the articles that I've had the honor and privilege of sharing my work in Art Journaling Magazine, I have talked a lot about my struggles with self-doubt, with being an artist, well, and with everything, but for sure with being an artist. And I was expressing some of that as what I have been going through these past couple days, and it started getting my wonderfully overthinking, self-doubting mind to feel some concern that with what I shared, and this is so ridiculous that things are this way now, that we feel like we have to apologize, I guess, for our feelings and how, or for things that we say, or to justify them. And I started feeling that big time. And it was over, I recently submitted some art to 2 different galleries here in town for some shows. And I was talking about how with one of them that my art wasn't accepted in it. And I don't know for sure. I honestly, I haven't gone back to check and see like the day that they were going to notify people. I didn't think that it was going to be this soon, so I could be wrong. But somebody, a fellow artist that I know, I saw that they were accepted into this same show. So I'm assuming, and possibly wrong, that my art wasn't accepted. But I was discussing that, and as I was getting ready to sit down and start editing that video, I started thinking how I was hoping and fearful that people, well, hoping that people didn't, not hoping that they did, but hoping that I didn't want people to think that I was looking for sympathy for anything, for feeling like I wasn't good enough and things like that, the things that I talk about and share as I'm cutting out that image, which is, I don't know, it's silly, but it made me want to sit down and just talk a little bit about that, about just self-doubt with things, especially with being an artist. And the thing that I was for sure wanting to express and say the most as I was talking about that is that I was pummeled last night with thoughts. It was just, you know, it was nonstop. And I know when it's happening and I see it and I'm like, okay, you know, this is like, and I call it the self-doubt demon, because that's what it is. It's like this demon inside that does everything that it can to just try to ruin it for you and tell you awful things that nobody should ever be saying to themselves. Nobody should ever be saying it to somebody else, and nobody should ever be have their own self saying it to yourself, because your inner dialogue is so incredibly important and affects you in so many ways. and ways that you don't even realize. And so I've really, really been trying to work on that. And for sure, the biggest first step is to see it when it's happening and realize when it's happening, and then do what you can to make it stop, or say the opposite. And so I've really, really, really been trying to work on that these past few years, and it has been helping. The biggest step and the longest step for me, for sure, has just been that realizing it and seeing it and when it's happening, and then saying, okay, this has got to stop. This is not true. Sometimes I will, say the opposite. It's like, because the one that always comes is I'm not an artist. And where my brain, what it's telling me, that bad side of me, how it's justifying my not being an artist, is that I didn't take any art classes in high school, which is ridiculous because I've always been an incredibly creative person. I had art, and of course all through elementary school, and then in junior high I had art, but for some reason in high school I didn't go there. I don't know why, and I regret that. But maybe it was just part of my journey. Maybe it was good, because as I did start exploring mixed media especially, I didn't have any of that knowledge of what is right and what is wrong when it came to art. I just did what I wanted to do. I did what felt right. I did what I liked to see. I don't know anything about color theory. I don't know anything about composition. I just do what I see and how I want it to feel, and that's just how it comes out. But that is a big one that I always, that gets me. Well, you're never going to do anything because you don't know anything. You have no training. I did not go to college at all. I was a mom. I have been a mom my 3/4 of my life. So that is a big one that comes up. And so I start hearing that, and it's like, well, that doesn't mean anything. There are so many famous artists who have no artistic training whatsoever. So that's ridiculous for me to even go there. So what started all this, after I went off on that little rabbit trail, is I started having this fear that with what I shared in that video, that people would think that I'm feeling sorry for myself and I'm looking for sympathy, and I want people to coddle me and say, no, you're fantastic, you're great, and I'm not looking for that whatsoever. I appreciate people's opinion for sure, and it does help and feels good to be told those things, but I am not and was not looking for people to do that whatsoever. The reasoning why I was wanting to share that is that I see that happening. I saw that happening. I was knee deep in it last night. But I kept going. I kept going. I was like, okay, especially with the show that I didn't get admitted to. Admitted, I don't know what the proper word is, that I wasn't accepted in. First of all, I'm not even sure if what I sent in was exactly what they were looking for, and it was a specific, excuse me, it was a specific, theme that they were looking for, and it was kind of a dark theme, and which I have a whole lot of dark art, especially, but it's all in my art journals. It's all contained in my journal. I have some very, very, very dark, painful pages that I have done that would have for sure worked better for that theme than the actual standalone pieces that I was able to submit. The idea behind those pieces, where they came from, was dark, but my mixed media generally is bright colors, and they were looking for dark stuff. So that right there could be part of it. And I don't know, and I can't sit and overthink trying to figure out why my art wasn't chosen for this one event, when there's so many others that I could be submitting to. And I also have to keep in mind and keep this frame of mind is I'm not doing it even to submit in the first place. It's nice, and that's for sure a big goal of mine, is to, you know, have things in a gallery and have a showing and things like that. But I can't let that thought of me not being good enough because I wasn't submitted for this one show to keep me from keeping going and moving forward. So if anything, the biggest thing that I wanted to share and what made me sit down and spill all of this out to you right now, I mean, I'm just talking as things are coming to my mind, is don't stop, don't stop, and don't listen to that, don't listen to your self-doubt. Just keep going, keep moving forward, even if it's a little bit. Last night I sat down and I started, you know, working on cutting out another image to go in my journal. That is a very soothing way for me to calm my overthinking mind. When I'm doing that, that's kind of all that I can think about. When I'm cutting those out, that's where my head is, that's where my mind is, that's where my thoughts are, is just the process and all the movements and all the things that go into my cutting out those very intricate pieces of florals. And I think that's why I've been so drawn to it and focused on it recently, is because, you know, a lot's been going on, and it's kind of like therapy for me a little bit, and it just is a way that I have found that I can slow myself down and kind of squish that self-doubt, those self-doubt thoughts that like to come up when it's coming to being an artist and sharing your art. And then I also started putting together some collage journals to sell. That's something that I've been wanting to do forever. I've had the paper bought forever, and I just wasn't ever in the place to get those started. And so I started doing that last night. But the important part is that I kept going, and I kept working on something, and I kept doing something that I enjoy and that I love. And by focusing on those things and the joy and the peace and just all of the positive emotions that I get from doing those things, that really helped me work through all that clutter and that clatter and just the noise that likes to come up in my brain and mess with me. And it messes with me bad. So all of that being said, just don't listen. Please don't listen to your self-doubt when it comes to creating art, to being creative, to being a creative person. Everybody is creative. Everybody is creative. People can say that they're not. They are. It just might not be exactly how they see being an artist is. There's so many ways to express yourself in a creative way. I think that's just how humans are made. We find the way that's best for us, that is made for us, that is able to get us to express things in a creative way. So I just keep going. If you ever feel like your stuff isn't good enough, or if you're not an artist, that's baloney, because you are. You are, and just tell yourself that you are. And don't listen to any of that, because it's lies. It's lies. It's not true. But I think that's it. I think that's all that I wanted to share. Well, and the other thing that I was thinking of is, and especially with being an online artist person like I am, and I share so much of myself in my art and in my creativity, and especially just putting myself out here on YouTube for all the haters and all the trolls and all the people that like to tell you that you suck and that you're awful, and you know, the music in the background, I don't like that, and so you need to change that, and just nitpicking you to death, trying to make you feel like you're awful. That's been another one that's really taken me quite a while to push past. And the sad thing is that that one person saying that one hateful thing can make people, creative people like us, especially highly sensitive, creative people, it just shuts you down. And that in turn hurts all of the people who love what you're doing and appreciate what you're doing and support what you're doing. That can apply in so many other different ways, and that is a big huge thing that I have personally been working through these past few years, is knowing that my art and myself is worthy, and that what I do is worthy, and that it's okay to try something even if I don't know if I'm going to be any good at it. It's okay to put myself out there, even if whatever it is I'm trying isn't the best. There are dream crushers out there, and they suck and they're awful, and it's really easy to let those people bring you down, so much so that it can just squish all of that creativity that you have inside of you, can just squish it down to where you feel like it's gone. And it's a difficult place to be, and it's a difficult place to pull yourself out of, because it's so easy to hear and to listen what you're being told and think that it's truth when it's not. So don't listen to your heart, listen to your soul, listen to your creative self, because that is what's important. And know that what you are making is for you, and it's not, it's not for everyone, and not everybody's going to appreciate it, and not everybody's going to see the beauty in it as you do, but that does not diminish its value or its beauty whatsoever, not at all, not one bit. And just keep going, keep creating, don't stop, even if it's a little bit every day. Just keep going, it's so important. So I am going to stop now, because I can tell that I am starting to get emotional, because that whole topic, that is a hard one that I'm really struggling to work through, and to come over. That's some pretty deep emotional trauma that I am struggling through and working through, and it for sure affects me and what I am able to do, and how I am able to accomplish things. And a lot of reason why it's taken me so long to get some of these things going and some of these things done is I've got a past dream crusher that made it pretty clear that I wasn't gonna be anything. And so this whole coffee thing and getting my coffee page started is such a huge step for me. And I know that is why I keep I do a little bit and then I stop. It's like, oh, wait. What am I doing? I can't do this. I'm not good enough for this. There's no way I can, and then I'll get going a little bit. It's like, no, I gotta keep moving. I gotta keep moving a little bit, and I'll start doing a little bit, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute, no, here come those past thoughts, those past things that I was told, and it trips me up and I stumble. So it's a big deal. It's a big process, and something that I'm working on. And I've always been very open and very honest in my art and with you all, and how things have been going, and so that's just where I'm at. So I hope that you appreciate this. Not that you appreciate this. I hope that this helps a little bit, that just my sharing this and my struggles and my ups and downs, that it just helps you see that it's important to listen to yourself and know what's right for yourself and do what's best for yourself, and that your self-care is very, very important. And all that stuff that's going on in your head, when it's not anything that's positive for you, that you need to know that it's not true, and to just keep being creative and keep being your wonderful, beautiful self, because that's what being an artist, that's what the joy of being an artist and a creative person is being yourself, being your creative self, and sharing that with others. So thank you so much for being here, if you listened, and I hope that some of this made sense. I don't know if I should have written stuff down to try to remember what I was going to say, but I really seriously went back and forth for about 15-20 minutes on if I should say any of this. I was gonna kind of try to do a little bit of a blurb and just tack it on at the end of that video, but I guess this was just something that I felt like I needed to share with you. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being such a massive, huge support to me. You have helped me out more than you know. Your support, your kind words. I know that I'm awful about responding to comments. I am not a huge fan of, I post okay on social media, but when it comes to the social part of social media, I struggle with that. But I do hear you, I do see you, I do appreciate you so much for everything, for always being here. I know that I have some followers who have been following me from the very beginning, and I did look back, and I think my first video was in 2012. So I've been on here and sharing for quite a while, and boy, has it ever been a wild ride. I will tell you that. We've had births, we've had deaths, we've had divorces, we've had everything. Married, weddings, yeah, it's been a lot. So for all of my people who have been with me since the very beginning, thank you so much for being here and for staying with me and growing with me and supporting me. And for any new subscribers, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're here, and I am gonna stop now, and I thank you. Bye.